Captain Jake Morrison stood in the massive meeting hall of Nexus Prime. The space station was huge, bigger than anything humans had ever built. Bright lights hung from the ceiling, and the walls were made of some kind of metal that seemed glow on its own. All around him, alien beings sat in their special chairs, talking in languages he did not understand. Jake felt small in this place. He was the only human in a room full of creatures from across the galaxy. Some looked like giant bugs with too many eyes. Others were tall and thin, almost like living glass. A few seemed to be made of pure energy, floating in the air without any solid body at all. The meeting was about to start. High Chancellor Vextar, the leader of the Zephyrian people, walked to the center of the room. He was tall, maybe 8 feet, with blue skin and forearms. His voice was deep and carried across a huge space without any trouble. "Today we will review the new species that have been found," Vextar said. "Many young races have reached the stars in recent years. We must decide which ones deserve our attention." Jake had been waiting for this moment for 3 months. Earth had finally made contact with the Galactic Council 6 months ago. The humans had been so excited. They thought they were joining a family of advanced civilizations. They thought they would learn amazing things and make new friends among the stars. How wrong they had been. The first few species were discussed quickly. The council members nodded and made notes on their strange devices. Some races were given high ratings. Others were marked as potential threats or needs observation. Jake listened carefully, trying to understand how these decisions were made. Then, Earth's file appeared on the giant screen in the center of the room. The reaction was immediate. Loud laughter filled the hall. Jake felt his face turn red as alien voices made jokes he could not understand. But he did not need to understand the words to know they were making fun of his people. "Humans," said Shard Speaker Zalfen, a representative from the crystalline hegemony. His voice sounded like breaking glass. "What amusing little species. Look at their technology. They still use chemical rockets to leave their planet. Chemical rockets. Like children playing with fire." More laughter came from the crowd. Jake wanted to stand up and defend his people, but he knew he had to stay quiet. He was here to learn, not to fight. Mindweaver Quinn floated forward. The ethereal collective's ambassador was just a ball of light that could somehow talk. "These humans have no psychic abilities at all," Quinn said. "They cannot even speak to each other without making noise. How do they coordinate anything? How do they share knowledge? It must take them forever to learn anything new." "And their weapons," added another voice from the crowd. "They still use pieces of metal shot from tubes. Kinetic weapons. We stopped using such things thousands of years ago. Do they plan to throw rocks at enemy ships?" The hall filled with laughter again. Jake gripped the arms of his chair so hard his knuckles turned white. He thought about his friends back home. Lisa Carter, the admiral who had sent him here. Dan Foster, the president who had chosen him for this mission. They were good people, smart people. They deserved better than this. High Chancellor Vextar raised one of his 4 hands for silence. "Let us be fair," he said, but Jake could hear the amusement in his voice. "The humans have achieved faster than light travel. That is something. It only took them a few hundred years after they invented the wheel." The laughter was even louder now. Jake felt like he was back in school, being picked on by bullies. But this was worse. These were not children making fun of him. These were the leaders of civilizations that had ruled the galaxy for thousands of years. "What should we do with them?" asked another council member. This one looked like a walking tree with too many branches. "They are clearly too primitive to be a threat, but they might cause problems if we ignore them." "Category 7, said Vextar without hesitation. "Barely above Stone Age. We will give them one trade route in the Outer Rim. Nothing important. and we will limit how many ships they can build. We don't want them spreading their primitive ways to other systems. The vote was quick. Every single council member agreed. Earth was officially classified as one of the lowest forms of intelligent life in the galaxy. They would be allowed to exist, but only just barely. Jake finally stood up. "High Chancellor," he said, his voice carrying across the quiet room. "I request permission to speak for my people." Vexstar looked at him like he was a bug that had just started talking. "Request denied," he said. "Category 7 species do not have speaking rights in this council. You may observe, but you will remain silent." The meeting continued as if Jake did not exist. The council talked about trade agreements and territorial disputes. They discussed wars happening in distant parts of the galaxy. They made decisions that would affect billions of lives. And through it all, Jake had to sit quietly, watching and listening, but never allowed to speak. When the meeting finally ended, Jake walked slowly to the communication center. The other beings ignored him completely. To them, he was nothing, less than nothing. He was a primitive creature from a backward world, not worth their time or attention. Jake sat down at the communication console and typed a message to Admiral Carter back on Earth. His fingers shook as he wrote the words that would change everything. "They've made their choice," he wrote. "Now we make ours." He sent the message and then sat back in his chair. The aliens thought they knew everything about humanity. They thought humans were weak and stupid and harmless. They had looked at Earth's technology and seen only primitive tools. They had looked at human history and seen only violence and chaos. But they had not looked deep enough. They had not seen the real strength that humans possessed. They had not understood what made his people special. Soon, Jake thought, they would learn. Soon, the galaxy would discover what humans were really capable of. And when that day came, these same aliens who were laughing now would not be laughing anymore. The truth was coming, and the galaxy was not ready for it. 3 months had passed since the meeting at Nexus Prime. Jake Morrison was still there, still watching and listening. But now he had something else to watch. The Void Reapers had come to the Outer Rim. The first attack happened on a Tuesday. Jake was in the observation deck when the emergency signals started coming in. The Kalos system was under attack. 3 cargo ships had been destroyed in minutes. The pirates had taken everything valuable and left the crews to die in space. Jake watched the council's response with growing anger. They formed a committee. They scheduled meetings. They talked about proper procedures and diplomatic solutions. Meanwhile, more ships died every day. Commander Kate Sullivan was patrolling the Altair sector when she got the distress call. Her ship, the U.E.'s Defiance, was small compared to the alien warships, but it was fast and well armed. Kate had been in the military for 15 years. She had fought in 3 wars and survived more battles than she could count. "Captain," her communications officer said, "we're getting an SOS from the transport ship New Dawn. They're under attack by unknown vessels." Kate looked at the tactical display. The New Dawn was a civilian transport carrying Altarian families. Men, women, and children who had done nothing wrong except be in the wrong place at the wrong time. "Set course for their position," Kate ordered. "Maximum speed." The Defiance jumped to hyperspace, but Kate knew they might be too late. The pirates were fast and ruthless. They did not care about innocent lives. When they arrived, the New Dawn was already burning. The transport ship's hull was cracked open like an egg. Bodies floated in the darkness of space. Kate felt sick as she watched the rescue pods being destroyed. One by one. "The pirates are still here," her tactical officer reported. 3 ships, heavy weapons. They're heading for the escape pods. Kate did not hesitate. "All weapons target the lead ship. Fire everything we have." The Defiance was outgunned and outnumbered, But Kate did not care. She would not let innocent people die while she watched. The human ship charged forward, its railguns blazing. The pirates were surprised by the attack. They had not expected anyone to fight back. Most species in the Outer Rim ran away when the Void Reapers appeared. But humans were different. The battle was short but fierce. The Defiance managed to damage one pirate ship before the others turned their full attention to her. Kate's ship was tough, but it could not survive the combined firepower of 3 enemy vessels. Hull breach on Deck 7, her damage control officer reported. We're losing atmosphere. Kate gritted her teeth. They had saved some of the escape pods, but not enough. Too many people had died, and now her own crew was in danger. All ships, this is Commander Sullivan aboard the UES Defiance, she broadcast. On all frequencies, we are under attack by pirate vessels, requesting immediate assistance. The response came from a Zephyrian patrol fleet only 20 minutes away. Kate felt hope rising in her chest. The Zephyrians had powerful ships and experienced crews. They could easily defeat the pirates, but the answer that came back crushed that hope. UE's Defiance. This is Fleet Commander Dexfer. We cannot assist you at this time. Council regulations prohibit engagement with hostile forces outside our territorial boundaries. We recommend you withdraw from the combat zone. Kate could not believe what she was hearing. Fleet Commander, there are civilian casualties here. Innocent people are dying. That is unfortunate, came the cold reply. But our protocols are clear. We cannot violate galactic law. The Zephyrian fleet stayed at the edge of the system, watching but not helping. Kate and her crew had to fight alone. They managed to escape, but barely. The New Dawn was completely destroyed. Over 200 Altarian civilians died that day. The news of the attack reached Earth within hours. President Dan Foster called. An emergency meeting in the White House. Admiral Lisa Carter was there, along with General Alex Reed and Director Amy Walsh from Human Intelligence. How many attacks is that this month? Foster asked. 17, Carter replied. And they're getting bolder. The pirates know the Council won't stop them. Foster looked at the intelligence reports spread across the table. Photos of destroyed ships, casualty lists, star charts showing pirate movements. The Void Reapers were terrorizing the entire Outer Rim, and the galactic government was doing nothing about it. What about our request for military assistance? Foster asked. General Reed shook his head. The Council offered to send a peacekeeping force, but only if we agree to give up our territorial claims and become a protectorate. Basically, they want us to surrender our independence. And our representative? What does Senator Banks say? He's trying, Director Walsh said, but they won't even let him speak in most meetings. They treat him like a child who wandered into an adult conversation. Foster stood up and walked to the window. Outside, he could see the lights of Washington, D.C. Somewhere out there, millions of humans were going about their daily lives, unaware that their government was being humiliated by alien bureaucrats. What are options? He asked. We could accept protectorate status, Reed said. It would mean giving up our sovereignty, but we'd get their protection. No, Foster said firmly. We didn't fight for our independence from Earth's old empires, just to become servants to alien ones. Then we fight, Carter said. We've been preparing for this possibility. The Terran Defense Initiative has been developing new technologies for years. We're not as primitive as they think. Foster turned back to his advisors. What do you mean? Director? Walsh opened a classified folder. We've been studying alien technology since first contact. Our scientists have made some interesting discoveries. The aliens assume we're primitive because we use different approaches to solving problems. But different doesn't mean worse. She showed him pictures of prototype ships, new weapon systems, advanced defensive technologies. We've been hiding our true capabilities. The aliens see what we want them to see. Why? Foster asked. Because it's safer, Carter explained. As long as they think we're harmless, they ignore us. That gives us time to prepare. Foster studied the reports. What he saw amazed him. Human technology was not primitive at all. It was just different. While the aliens focused on energy weapons and psychic abilities, humans had developed advanced kinetic systems, quantum computers, and adaptive technologies. How long before we're ready? He asked. We're ready now, Reed said. The question is, are we willing to show the galaxy what we can really do? Foster looked at each of his advisors. These were good people, smart people who had devoted their lives to protecting humanity. They had watched helplessly as the aliens dismissed and humiliated their species. They had seen innocent people die while alien bureaucrats debated procedures. Do it, Foster said. Activate the Terran Defense Initiative. If the galaxy won't protect innocent lives, then humanity will. The orders went out within hours. Every human colony received the same message. Every ship captain got new instructions. The time for hiding was over. Commander Sullivan, still repairing her damaged ship, received the communication with surprise and excitement. Finally, they were going to fight back. Finally, they were going to show these pirates what humans were. Really capable of dot, she did not know that her ship was about to become famous throughout the galaxy. She did not know that her next battle would change everything. All she knew was that innocent people were dying, and she was not going to let it happen anymore. The Void Reapers had made a mistake. They had assumed that humans were weak and cowardly, like the other species they terrorized. They were about to learn how wrong they were. The galaxy was about to discover that sometimes the most dangerous enemies are the ones you underestimate. Haven Station was supposed to be safe. It was a neutral trading post, protected by galactic law. Families from dozens of different species lived there. The station had shops, schools, and parks. Children played in the corridors while their parents worked in the docking bays and offices. Warlord Kethmak did not care about galactic law. The Void Reaper fleet dropped out of hyperspace without warning. 50 warships surrounded the station like hungry wolves. Their weapons were already charging, ready to destroy anything that tried to escape. Attention Haven Station. Kethmak's voice boomed across the communication channels. You have exactly 10 minutes to surrender all valuable cargo and technology. Anyone who resists will be destroyed. The station's shields flickered to life, but everyone knew they would not last long. Haven Station was a civilian facility. Its defenses were meant to stop small raiders. Not a full pirate fleet. Captain Ben Parker was 3 light years away when the distress signal reached his ship. The U.S. Ranger was conducting what his official logs called a routine patrol, but Ben knew better. There was nothing routine about being in the Outer Rim these days. Every human ship had been given new orders. Find the pirates, stop them, protect the innocent. Captain, his communications officer said, we're receiving an emergency broadcast from Haven Station. They're under attack by a large pirate force. Ben looked at the tactical display. Haven Station was home to over 50,000 civilians. Men, women, and children from across the galaxy. They had done nothing wrong except live in the wrong place. At the wrong time. How many ships? He asked. Sensors show at least 50 vessels, all of them heavily armed. Ben's crew exchanged worried glances. The Ranger was just one ship. By galactic standards, it was not even a particularly impressive ship. Other species had vessels that could destroy planets or control mines. The Ranger looked like a simple metal box with engines attached, but looks could be deceiving. Set course for Haven Station, Ben ordered. Maximum speed, The Ranger jumped to hyperspace. Ben used the travel time to review his new orders. The Terran Defense Initiative had given him access to technologies that most of the galaxy did not even know existed. His ship had been completely rebuilt over the past 3 months, but the changes were hidden beneath a layer of ordinary-looking armor. When they arrived at Haven Station, the situation was even worse than Ben had feared. The station's shields were flickering and weak. Several sections were already on fire. Escape pods were launching, but the pirates were destroying them one by one. Incoming transmission, his communications officer reported. It's from the lead pirate vessel. Ben nodded. Put it on screen. Warlord Kethmak appeared on the main display. He was a massive creature, part machine and part organic tissue. His left arm had been replaced with a weapon that could tear through starship halls. His face was covered in scars from 100 battles. What is this? Kethmak laughed when he saw Ben's ship. A single human vessel? Did you come here to surrender your pathetic lives? Ben kept his voice calm and steady. This is Captain Ben Parker of the U.E.S. Ranger. You are attacking innocent civilians. Release them immediately and surrender your ships. The pirate warlord's laughter was so loud it hurt to hear. Surrender? To you? Little human, your species is barely above the level of animals. Your weapons are primitive. Your ships are toys. You cannot even defeat a single one of my vessels, let alone my entire fleet. You have 60 seconds to comply, Ben said. Or what? Kethmak sneered. Will you throw rocks at us? Will you ram our ships with your little metal box? Please, human, amuse me. Show me what your primitive people can do. The pirate fleet opened fire. 50 ships launched everything they had at the lonely human vessel. Plasma bolts, quantum torpedoes, and energy beams streaked through space. The combined firepower was enough to destroy a small moon. Ben's tactical officer counted down the seconds. Impact in 5.4.2 1. The weapon struck the Ranger with tremendous force. The ship disappeared in a ball of fire and energy. For a moment, it seemed like the human vessel had been completely destroyed. Then the fire cleared, and the Ranger was still there. Not only was it still there, it was accelerating straight toward the pirate fleet. The human ship had not just survived the attack, it seemed to be getting stronger. Impossible, Kethmak whispered. What the pirates did not know was that human technology worked differently from theirs. While alien species focused on energy shields and psychic barriers, humans had developed adaptive armor. The more damage it took, the stronger it became. The pirates' attack had not weakened the Ranger. It had made it nearly invincible. All weapons, target the lead ship, Ben ordered. Fire. The Ranger's railguns opened fire. The weapons looked primitive compared to alien energy cannons, but they were far more advanced than they appeared. Guided by quantum computers and fired by magnetic accelerators, the projectiles moved at incredible speed. The first shot punched through Kethmak's energy shields like they were made of paper. The second shot tore through his ship's hull. The third shot destroyed his main reactor. Impossible, Kethmak said again, but his voice was weaker now. His ship was dying around him. The Ranger did not stop. It moved through the pirate fleet, like a shark through a school of fish. Its weapons fired continuously, each shot finding its target with perfect accuracy. The human ship's targeting system was linked directly to its crew's minds, allowing them to react faster than any computer. Pirate ships exploded one after another. Some tried to run, but the Ranger's missiles caught them before they could escape. The weapons were not just fast, they were smart. They could think and adapt, changing course to follow fleeing targets. Within 10 minutes, half the pirate fleet was destroyed. The survivors were trying desperately to escape, but the Ranger was faster than anything they had. "Please," one of the pirate captains begged over the radio. "We surrender. Don't destroy us." "Too late," Ben replied. "You had your chance." The battle was over in 20 minutes. 50 pirate ships had been reduced to scrap metal floating in space. The Ranger had not even been seriously damaged. Its adaptive armor had grown stronger with each attack, and its quantum computers had learned from every exchange. Haven Station was safe. The civilians were alive. The children could go back to playing in the corridors while their parents returned to work. But the galaxy would never be the same. The news of the battle spread through the communication networks like wildfire. A single human ship had destroyed an entire pirate fleet. The species that the Galactic Council had classified as primitive had just demonstrated technology that no one understood. High Chancellor Vextar read the reports with growing concern. How had the humans hidden such capabilities? How had they developed such advanced weapons while everyone assumed they were barely above cavemen? Fleet Admiral Dexter of the Zephyrian military was the first to understand the truth. He studied the sensor data from Haven Station and realized what had happened. The humans had not been hiding their technology. They had been disguising it. "They made us think they were primitive," he told his staff. "But they were never primitive at all. They were just different, and we were too arrogant to see it." The implications were staggering. If humans could hide such advanced technology, what else were they hiding? If they could defeat the Void Reapers so easily, what could they do to other species? Meanwhile, Warlord Kethmak floated in the wreckage of his flagship, barely alive. His empire was destroyed, his fleet was gone, and his reputation was in ruins. But he was not finished yet. The humans had humiliated him. They had shown the galaxy that the mighty Void Reapers could be defeated by a single ship. This could not be allowed to stand. Kethmak activated his emergency beacon. Across the galaxy, his remaining forces received the same message. Every pirate, every raider, every criminal who had ever served under his command was called to action. The humans would pay for what they had done. The galaxy would learn that the Void Reapers were not finished, and Earth itself would burn for daring to challenge their power. The Battle of Haven Station was over, but the war was just beginning. The news traveled faster than light across the galaxy. Within hours, every major civilization knew about the battle at Haven Station. A single human ship had destroyed 50 pirate vessels. The species that everyone had dismissed as primitive had just demonstrated technology that defied understanding. Fleet Admiral Dexter sat in his office aboard the Zephyrian flagship, studying the sensor data for the 100th time. The numbers did not lie, but they made no sense. The human ship had absorbed enough firepower to destroy a small planet, yet it had not only survived, but grown stronger. "Sir," his intelligence officer said, "we've completed our analysis of the FE, human vessel's performance." Dexter looked up from his reports, and their technology is not primitive at all. It's completely different from ours. While we focus on energy-based systems, they've developed advanced kinetic weapons and adaptive materials. Their ship's armor actually became stronger as it took damage. Dexter felt a chill run down his spine. "How long have they been hiding this?" "Unknown, sir. But based on the sophistication of their systems, they've been developing this technology for decades, maybe centuries." On Nexus Prime, High Chancellor Vextar was having his own crisis. The Galactic Council was in chaos. Representatives from dozens of species were demanding answers. How had they missed such advanced technology? How had they been so wrong about humanity's capabilities? "We need to reconsider our classification of the humans," said Shard Speaker Zalthon. The crystalline hegemony's representative was no longer laughing. "They are clearly more advanced than we thought." "Advanced?" Mindweaver Quinn floated nervously in the air. They destroyed 50 ships with one vessel. That's not advanced. That's terrifying. Senator Roy Banks, Earth's representative, sat quietly in his assigned seat. For months, he had been ignored and dismissed. Now, suddenly, everyone wanted to hear what he had to say. Senator Banks, Beckstar said, perhaps you could explain how your people developed such capabilities. Roy looked around the room. These same beings had laughed at him just months ago. They had treated him like a child, refusing to let him speak. Now they were asking for his help. I'm afraid I don't know what you're talking about, Roy said calmly. According to this council, humans are Category 7 primitives. We barely understand fire, remember? The tension in the room was thick. Several council members shifted uncomfortably in their seats. Meanwhile, the remnants of the Void Reaper fleet were gathering in the dark spaces between stars. Warlord Kethmak had survived the battle, but barely. His body was more machine than flesh now, kept alive by technology stolen from a dozen different species. How many ships do we have? He asked his second-in-command. 467. Vessels have answered the call, came the reply. Every raider, pirate, and mercenary who has ever served under your banner. Kethmak smiled, or tried to. Half his face was gone, replaced by metal and circuits. Good, the humans think they are. Clever. They think one victory makes them strong. We will show them their mistake. The plan was simple. The entire Void Reaper fleet would attack Earth itself. Not just the orbital facilities or the outer colonies, but the home world. They would destroy the planet that had dared to challenge. Their power. Send the message, Kethmak ordered. Let the galaxy know that the Void Reapers are not finished. The broadcast went out on all frequencies. Kethmak's scarred face appeared on screens across the galaxy. His voice, distorted by the machines that kept him alive, carried his message of revenge. People of the galaxy, he said, you have seen what happened at Haven Station. You think the humans are strong. You think they are advanced. But they are nothing compared to the power of the Void Reapers. We will show you the truth. We will destroy their homeworld and scatter their people across the stars. The message caused panic throughout the galaxy. Earth was going to be attacked by over 400 warships. The humans had proven they were not primitive, but could they survive such an assault? On Earth, President Dan Foster called another emergency meeting. Admiral Lisa Carter, General Alex Reed, and Director Amy Walsh gathered in the Situation Room beneath the White House. How long do we have? Foster asked. Their fleet is massing in the Void Nebula, Carter replied. They'll reach Earth in 72 hours. 400 ships, Reed said, shaking his head. That's the largest pirate fleet ever assembled. What about the Galactic Council? Foster asked. Will they help us? Roy Banks appeared on the communication screen from Nexus Prime. They're debating it, he said. Some of them want to help, but others are afraid of getting involved. They're more concerned about their own safety than ours. Foster was not surprised. The aliens had shown their true nature months ago. They talked about justice and civilization, but when innocent people needed help, they hid behind bureaucracy and procedure. What are options? He asked Director. Walsh opened her classified files. We have 50 ships in the home fleet. All of them have been upgraded with our new technology, but 50 against 400. It's not about numbers, Carter said. It's about capability. Our ships are more advanced than anything the galaxy has seen. The question is whether we're ready to show them everything. Foster knew what she meant. The battle at Haven Station had revealed some of humanity's secrets, but not all of them. Earth had weapons and defenses that no one suspected. The question was whether to use them. If we reveal our full capabilities, Reed warned, there's no going back. The galaxy will know that we've been hiding our true strength. They already. No, Foster said. The question is whether we're ready to stop pretending to be weak. He looked at each of his advisors. These were the people who had guided humanity through its first contact with alien civilizations. They had watched as their species was dismissed and humiliated. They had prepared for this moment for years. Do it, Foster said. Activate all our defenses. Show the galaxy what humanity is really capable of. The orders went out immediately. Across the solar system, hidden installations came online. Orbital defense platforms that had been disguised as space debris revealed their true nature. Weapon systems that had been buried on asteroids powered up for the first time. Colonel Nick Taylor, commanding the defense platform hidden in the asteroid belt, received his orders with grim satisfaction. Finally, he said to his crew, time to show these pirates what we're really made of. Major Rachel Green, aboard the defense station near Jupiter, was already running final checks on her weapon systems. The station looked like a simple research facility, but it was actually one of the most powerful weapons in the galaxy. Admiral Carter stood on the bridge of her flagship, watching the final preparations. The human fleet was ready. The defense systems were online. Earth was about to show the galaxy that humanity was not the weak, primitive species everyone thought. Admiral, her communications officer said, we're receiving a transmission from the Galactic Council. Carter nodded. Put it through. High Chancellor Vextar appeared on the screen. Admiral Carter, he said, the Council has voted to offer humanity protection. If you accept Protectorate status, we will defend your world against the pirates. Carter almost laughed. And what would that protection cost us? Complete surrender of your military forces, Vextar replied. All human weapons and technology would be placed under Council control. Your people would be relocated to designated colonies under our supervision. In other words, Carter said, slavery. It is the only way to ensure your survival, Vextar insisted. The pirate fleet is too large. You cannot defeat them alone. Carter looked at the tactical display. The Void Reaper fleet was already moving toward Earth. 400 ships against 50. By galactic standards, it was hopeless, but the galaxy did not understand humanity yet. Thank you for your offer, Carter said politely, but we decline. Humanity will defend itself. She cut the transmission before Vextar could respond. Around the galaxy, alien leaders watched in amazement and horror. The humans were going to fight alone against impossible odds. Some admired their courage. Others thought they were insane. But all of them would remember this moment as the day everything changed. The battle for Earth was about to begin. The Void Reaper fleet dropped out of hyperspace at the edge of the solar system like a dark cloud of death. 467 ships formed a wall of destruction stretching across space. Dreadnoughts the size of cities, battle cruisers, bristling with weapons, and carriers launching fighter squadrons by the thousands. Warlord Kethmak stood on the bridge of his new flagship, the Destroyer of Worlds. His broken body was held together by machinery, but his hatred burned brighter than ever. Earth hung in the distance like a blue jewel, beautiful and defenseless. Begin the attack, he commanded. Leave nothing alive. The pirate fleet moved forward like a tide of darkness. Their weapons charged, ready to turn Earth into a lifeless rock. This was the largest fleet ever assembled by the Void Reapers. Number. Force in the galaxy could stop them. Then the human fleet appeared. Admiral Lisa Carter led 50 ships out from behind the moon. Compared to the massive pirate armada, the human fleet looked tiny. The ships were sleek and simple, without the spikes and decorations that other species preferred. They looked almost peaceful. Is this some kind of joke? Kethmak laughed. 50 ships against my entire fleet? The humans have truly lost their minds. Across the galaxy, observers watched through long-range sensors. the Galactic Council had sent monitoring ships to witness humanity's destruction. Other species had their own reasons for watching. Some hoped the humans would survive. Others waited to see what would happen to Earth's resources after the battle. "This is Admiral Carter of the Terran Defense Force," Lisa's voice carried across space. "You are attacking our homeworld. This is your final warning. Surrender now or face the consequences." The laughter from the pirate fleet could be heard on every frequency. Kethmak's voice boomed back across the void. "Surrender? You pathetic humans still do not understand. You are insects trying to fight gods. We will crush you like the primitives you are." The pirate fleet opened fire. Thousands of weapons lit up the darkness of space. Plasma cannons, quantum torpedoes, and energy beams streaked toward the human fleet. The combined firepower was enough to destroy entire star systems. But something impossible happened. The human ships did not just survive the attack. They accelerated straight into the storm of destruction. Captain Luke Stevens, commanding the UES Thunderbolt, watched his ships. Adaptive armor absorbed the enemy fire. Each hit made his vessel stronger, faster, more deadly. His crew worked with machine-like precision, their minds linked directly to the ship's quantum computers. "All weapons, fire at will," he ordered. The human fleet unleashed hell. What the pirates saw defied everything they thought they knew about warfare. The human ships moved like living things, dodging and weaving through the enemy formation. Their weapons fired with impossible accuracy, each shot finding its target despite the chaos of battle. But the real shock came when Earth's hidden defenses came online. Commander Sarah Mitchell sat in the control room of Defense Platform Alpha, buried deep inside an asteroid in the belt between Mars and Jupiter. For years, her installation had been disguised as a mining operation. Now, she was about to reveal its true purpose. "Orbital Defense Network is online," she reported to Admiral Carter. "All platforms ready to fire." "Do it," Carter replied. "Show them what we're really capable of." Across the solar system, dozens of hidden installations revealed themselves. Asteroids split open to reveal massive weapons platforms. Space stations that had looked like simple research facilities transformed into fortresses. Even the moon itself opened up, revealing gun batteries that had been hidden for decades. The aliens watching from across the galaxy could not believe what they were seeing. Earth was not just defended by 50 ships. It was the center of the most advanced military complex anyone had ever imagined. Director Amy Walsh, coordinating the defense from Earth, smiled as she watched the tactical display. "We've been preparing for this for 20 years, she said to her staff. "Every asteroid, every space station, every piece of orbital debris has been weaponized. The entire solar system is a fortress." The battle became a massacre. Pirate ships that had taken decades to build were destroyed in seconds. Kethmak's mighty fleet, which had terrorized the galaxy for years, was being torn apart by weapons they could not even understand. "Impossible," Kethmak whispered as his ships died around him. "This cannot be happening." But it was happening. The humans were not just fighting back. They were winning, easily. Fleet Admiral Dexter, watching from his monitoring ship, finally understood the truth. "They've been lying to us," he said to his crew. "For decades, they've been pretending to be primitive while building the most advanced military force in the galaxy." On Nexus Prime, High Chancellor Vextar watched the battle with growing horror. The humans were not just defeating the pirates, they were destroying them completely. Ships that had survived hundreds of battles were being cut apart like toys. "How? Is this possible?" he asked his advisors. "How did we miss this?" "They made us miss it," replied his intelligence chief. "They showed us only what they wanted us to see. While we were laughing at their primitive technology, they were building weapons we cannot even comprehend." The battle raged for only 30 minutes. When it was over, the mighty Void Reaper fleet was nothing but debris floating in space. 467 ships had been reduced to scrap metal. The pirate confederation that had terrorized the galaxy for generations was completely destroyed. Warlord Kethmak's flagship was the last to die. As the human weapons tore through his ship, he made one final transmission. "This is not possible," he said, his voice weak and broken. "Humans are primitives. You use sticks and stones. You cannot have this power." Admiral Carter's response was calm and measured. "We never said we were primitives. You assumed we were. That was your mistake." The transmission ended as Kethmak's ship exploded in a ball of fire dot in the aftermath. President Dan Foster addressed the Galactic Council directly. His image appeared on screens across the galaxy, from the highest council chambers to the smallest frontier outposts. "People of the galaxy," he said, "humanity has always been willing to live in peace with our neighbors. We have never sought to conquer or dominate other species. But we will not allow innocent people to suffer while bureaucrats debate procedures." He paused, letting his words sink in. "The pirates who terrorized the Outer Rim are gone. The people they threatened are safe. This is what humanity offers to the galaxy. Not conquest, not domination, but protection for those who cannot protect themselves." The response was immediate. Across the galaxy, species that had been terrorized by pirates for generations celebrated. The Altarians, whose transport had been destroyed months ago, sent messages of gratitude. The people of Haven Station held parades in honor of their human defenders, but the major powers were worried. If humanity had been hiding such advanced technology, what else were they hiding? If they could destroy the Void Reaper so easily, what could they do to other species? High Chancellor Vextar called an emergency session of the Galactic Council. For the first time in months, Senator Roy Banks was invited to speak. "The Council wishes to apologize," Vextar said, though the words clearly hurt him. "We may have misjudged your species' capabilities," Roy smiled. "May have? We would like to offer humanity full membership in the Galactic Council," Vextar continued. "Complete territorial rights, unrestricted trade access, and a permanent seat on the governing board." "And in return?" Roy asked. "Nothing," Vextar said quickly. "We simply hope that humanity will continue to use its considerable abilities for the protection of all civilized species." Roy looked around the room. These same beings had laughed at him months ago. They had classified his species as barely above animals. Now they were offering humanity everything they had previously denied. "We accept," Roy said, "but understand this. Humanity will never again hide what we are capable of. We will defend the innocent, protect the weak, and stand against those who would harm others. That is not a threat. That is a promise." The Galactic Council voted unanimously to accept humanity as full members. The species that had been dismissed as primitives now held one of the most powerful positions in galactic government. Admiral Carter, now promoted to Fleet Admiral, stood on the bridge of her flagship looking out at the debris field that had once been the Void Reaper fleet. Her communications officer approached with a message. "Admiral," he said, "we're receiving surrender requests from pirate groups across the galaxy." "It seems news of our victory has spread," Carter nodded. "Except their surrenders. But make it clear that any future attacks on innocent civilians will be met with the same response." As the human fleet began cleanup operations, observers across the galaxy were still trying to understand what they had witnessed. The species they had dismissed as weak and primitive had just demonstrated technology that surpassed anything in known space, that the truth was finally revealed. Earth had never been weak. Humanity had never been primitive. They had simply been underestimated. The galaxy had mocked Earth's strength, But now they had witnessed the truth. And the truth was this: sometimes the most dangerous species is the one you dismiss as harmless. The age of human dominance had begun, not through conquest or force, but through the simple act of protecting those who could not protect themselves. The galaxy would knee.